We've got Laura here who's going to talk about farming. Laura has been in the business. This is your third year.
Right.
And she entered real estate after basically your kids were in middle school.
My son just started middle school, so I was a stay-at-home mom before this.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
So third year.
And what inspired you to get into real estate?
I got tired of doing laundry.
Amen.
Yes,
Amen.
no, I wanted to do something more than what I was doing, and I love this, and this has been a good fit for me. So,
yeah. Well, it certainly has been a good fit for you. You know, when I talk to you, you're a real go-getter. You're someone who has done quite well in the first 3 years of your business, and it's always good to talk to you about the tactical things that you do in order to build your business over and over again. So welcome.
Thank you.
So let's just jump right in and talk about why is farming so important, and what percentage of your business comes from your farming efforts?
I would say, I just looked at it, probably about a quarter of my business comes from my farming, and it's gaining momentum now. So the first year I had 2 listings in my farm. Second year, 2 listings in my farm. This year I have 4 listings in my farm. At my last open house, I probably had 3 or 4 people who came in and said, we want to list with you in the spring of next year. So it's kind of taking on a life of its own at this point, which is wonderful.
Which is wonderful. So is it true, the adage that they say that every listing you get should turn into, 3 more listings? Is it easier once you start getting that momentum in your farm to turn every listing you have into more business?
It seems that way, and not every listing do I get that number of buyers, but it might come to me somewhat in some other way, shape, or form that business does come from this. I had a listing last year, 2 years ago, and a buyer reached out to me, and I got him into contract at the beginning of this year. So.
Excellent.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Or people, it's just kind of brand recognition as well. People are kind of know who I am now, and
they start seeing your signs.
They see my signs. They know who I am, and they know I do. I kind of am over the top. So
over the top. What does that mean?
Well, it means like I have
through the knothole.
Yeah, I have all the food and all the signs, and usually at least 1 or 2 other agents there. I have more of a party atmosphere in my listings.
Okay, we're going to get into that.
Yeah,
You do some really fun things at your open houses.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes. Okay, so let's talk about delegation. You know, this is a big job. This can be a big job. When you say a quarter of your business comes from farming, where does the other 3/4 come from?
I was just looking at that.
You track it carefully?
I looked at it for this year, and so Sphere and referrals was probably about another quarter this year. I did get a couple reload deals, so that was something that was new.
It's always
for me.
nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Good.
And then open house. So a lot of my buyers were open house people for this year. So I would say that's the main.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're pretty good at, it sounds like, tracking that business. How important is it to track the exact source of all your business?
Well, I just did it for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay, so we forced you to track your business this year.
Forced me to track my business, exactly.
Okay, good.
I would say a lot of it is, Sphere, though, of course, and referrals and that type of thing now. That's starting to pick up for me.
Okay.
And then now it seems like the farming's starting to pick up for me as well.
So when you say Sphere, you've got 2 younger kids. You're very involved in their lives, their school lives, school PTA and all that stuff. Do you ever get business from, the school entity or your involvement in that?
I have not yet.
Paid off?
No,
Okay.
not at all. And I don't really push that either.
Right.
So
it's a fine line.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I haven't pushed the school thing at all.
Okay. All right. So what about delegation? Who do you delegate to?
That's so.
Or
it's
do you?
kind of, since I'm in my 3rd year, it's all a work in progress, and I'm learning to delegate, because there was a point that I had too much and I could barely breathe. I mean, Tina saw me at that part of my life.
Pretty crazy.
And pretty crazy. So I have someone now helping me with my files, which has been helpful. And I do use buyer's agents, and that's been really helpful because I can't be everywhere at once and doing everything at once.
Okay, so you hire someone to take your buyers out and do showings.
I do more of a split. So I'll call someone up and say, hey, I have this buyer. Do you want to work them 50-50? And that's been really, really
Good.
worked out well for me.
Beneficial.
Exactly.
All right, good.
Exactly.
And is that because you want to focus more on your listings and buyers take too much time, or?
Some of it is that. I would say some of it is that I can't do, and I just can't do everything.
And so that's okay. You know, you had that conversation with yourself and said, okay, I'm going crazy. My life is out of balance, right?
Let me see what I can do.
Let me see what I can do to really use myself at my highest and best use.
Exactly. And sometimes, like, I've had buyers and I know I'm not going to be able to serve them to the level that they need, so I have referred people out, and I try to find an agent that's going to be the right fit with that particular buyer. So at the end result is we do have a contract.
Right, good. Okay, and then your buyer's happy with you as well because you've given them over to a good agent.
Exactly. And I still will work with the buyer, so it's not like
a total handoff.
It's not a total handoff. No, I'll be writing the contract, or I'll be still showing property.
Okay.
It's just in order to maximize myself.
Okay, all right. So that sounds like a kind of a hybrid handoff, right?
Exactly.
So you still have the FaceTime. They don't feel like you've passed them off, so to speak. But again, you're not having to spend all that time in the car with them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Good. That sounds like a good strategy. So let's talk about your open houses. I know, so for full disclosure, Laura is Darren Hall's wife, and Darren's our CFO. And the only reason I'm saying this is because Darren's cute. He talks in our executive meetings about how he barbecued yesterday at his wife's open house. He had so much fun. So tell us about the things that you do at your open house to create an event atmosphere.
Right, and I like to host parties. So it's just a natural thing that my open houses are going to be more like a party atmosphere than an open house, because it's boring when you walk into an open house and there's one agent there.
Super
and
quiet.
It's really quiet, and you're the only one in there.
People have their shoes off.
Right. So I try to, first of all, I put a lot of signs out. Darren does that. So he puts out about 15 signs for me every open house. A lot of times I'll have my kids go out and they'll pass out flyers. So it is a family affair. We're a real estate family. They'll pass out flyers inviting the neighbors to come, and we'll have a raffle and that kind of thing, just to bring them in so that the neighbors see that it's not your typical open house. And then, all the Facebook and that kind of stuff as well. And then I have food, and usually at least one agent, if not two, and the lender's there. So it's just got more kind of going on. It's more fun.
So you get 15 signs. That creates a lot of visibility for you in that market. You do food, sometimes barbecue.
Sometimes So I have one coming up. We're going to have it catered by Kinders.
Okay.
So it really kind of depends on the listing, what I'm going to do.
Okay. And then you do, what kind of a raffle do you do?
I try to raffle local, so I do a lot of business in Pleasant Hill, so local businesses. So I'm able to tell the neighbors that, hey, I'm supporting your local small businesses. So I'll find, whatever it is.
Okay, all right. So that helps both.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
It shows that I'm proactive in the community.
Right, gotcha. Okay, and then when you say do that Facebook, so you like do a Facebook invitation or an event, or you just pop it on Facebook?
It's interesting. I have done the Facebook invitation and events, and I haven't gotten, because I always ask, what brought you to the open house? Was it the internet? Was it the signs? Your neighbor? Why are you here? And it was interesting because I haven't really gotten people coming in through the Facebook events, but I do post it onto my, my friends and family and stuff.
Right,
and they come in, oh yeah, she's still around, and this is what she's doing.
And I hear you have your son sign people in. Is that right?
I have had my son sign people in.
And it's hard for people to say no to him. No, I won't give you my contact information.
Right.
So he's pretty good at
He's good at signing people in, but I've also kind of moved away from signing people in because I want them to be at the open house and feel comfortable. And sometimes when and I know this goes against the mega, but sometimes I feel like when you have to sign in, some people don't want to give that information versus if, warm greeting and a connection, within about 5 minutes, I'm usually able to get that name and address and phone. And I have the name, address, phone number, email. I have all the information, and I write it down myself. So
makes sense.
I can read it.
So don't hit him up right away.
I don't hit them up right away.
Let them tour the house. Let them sample the food. Let them relax. Get them into a conversation. It makes so much more sense. It's the same way as if you walk into a retail store. No one wants to be hit up first when they first walk in.
Right.
Everyone says just looking.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
So that's my strategy.
Engagement conversation.
It's been successful for me.
Okay.
Maybe certain listings, I would say maybe when I do the barbecue, this one that's coming up in September, maybe I will have my son there to sign people in.
So do you know, because it sounds like you do a really, I mean, maybe this isn't something you do all the time, but I would imagine this would attract the attention of some of the homeowners in the area. Have you been successful at getting listings from other, in the areas in which you've done these open houses?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They come through and they see me and what I do, for sure. And that's why they're I had three signs in my neighborhood just last week, and so they're like, oh, you are the person that comes through at this point. And so they do. They come see my open houses. I did a wine and cheese event on a Friday night. I had one that had really good drive-through traffic, and it was on my flyer for probably 2 weeks before the event, so people knew that that was coming up.
And it hasn't taken you that long when you really think about it. I mean, a quarter of your business comes from your farming, but still, it really hasn't taken you that long. It's not like you've been farming for 8 years in your market or 5 years in your market.
Right.
You've been actively farming there for 2.5 to 3 years, and it's already really paid off dividends for you.
Yes, it has, for sure.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Okay, let's talk about door knocking. Now, I heard from Darren that you used to take the little red wagon with brochures and whatnot and your kids. Are you still doing that? How did that work for you?
I do. Okay, I got busy. Full
disclosure, be honest, it happens.
Exactly. So I actually hired someone to come and help pass out the flyers with my son. So I'll send them out on a Saturday, and then I buy them Kinders for, I'm promoting that place. But anyway, I'll like, here, go get some sandwiches. I make it fun for the kids, too. And my son will bring a couple friends along, and they'll go and they'll do a flyer day. I do still door knock, and I was door knocking a lot. I was doing a neighborhood watch thing, so I was knocking on people's door and trying to get a captain for that. And door knocking is really valuable because you actually, even if you're not getting a listing, you get to know the neighbors and what's going on. So a lot of times it might not result in a listing per se, but I know who's updated their house, who's in the process of this, what really is going on, so I have a feel of the neighborhood.
And that helps you in your conversations at your open houses with potential buyers, right?
Exactly.
Because you really have a sense and feeling for the neighborhood.
Exactly.
You understand who lives there and also.
Are they a renter? Do they own? Do they have kids? Where do the kids go to school? I really have a sense of the neighborhood.
Which is super important, I think, when you're holding those open houses, to be really the knowledgeable one about that neighborhood.
Exactly.
Because buyers moving in want to know, what's this neighborhood like?
Exactly.
What's it like to live here?
And that's one thing that I think part of the success of my farm is it's actually where I live. So I can say, I live right down the street. I know that you can go walk up the street and see the fireworks over there. I know, I really know what's happening in the neighborhood.
Right.
So
for sure.
Okay.
Now you mentioned neighborhood watch, and I've heard that can be successful. Some agents have used that to good success because, again, it puts you right in front of the homeowners in the area. What's your involvement in that?
So what I did is I would door knock and get a team captain. So you need someone that's going to host the event, and then I would just provide cookies and that kind of stuff. And the purpose of that is to get people's email addresses, but I don't like to blast people that don't want to receive my information. So I just kind of put myself out there, and they'll call me and have me do a CMA or whatever kind of thing. But it was very successful. I mean, I met a lot of people, and they got to see me. And I'm not an in-your-face type of person.
Right.
Also, I tend to just be more authentic. I'm a neighbor as well.
Which is one of the reasons why they probably like you.
Yeah.
Because,
we'll see.
Selling all the time gets old.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. You got to be real. So we talked about this. We've really talked about this already a little bit, but we really talked more in terms of open houses and door knocking and whatnot. But branding is really a whole separate area. How have you branded yourself in terms of the best branding is your signs, no question about it. Signs in the ground, right? But other than that, like what kinds of materials when you hire someone to door knock? What kinds of materials are they handing out? Are you doing postcard mailers, just listed, just sold? How are you branding Laura Wucher in your farm?
I would say a lot of it is my signs for sure, and then just people are getting to recognize my name. BHG has the green color, so it's definitely something that's a little bit different. I am sending out postcards. I do the complimentary staging, so not everybody does that. That's something a little bit different. Starting to brand myself as, doing luxury listings, even if the house isn't a luxury home, so that is something different as well. I just did the shopping cart thing, which is pretty funny.
You did?
Yeah, my girlfriend sent me a shopping cart with my picture and brand on it, and it was full of wine bottles, and I just thought, oh, that's so classic.
Could be worse.
Yeah, no, it could be baby diapers or something.
Right.
So it was really
funny.
cute. I think I still think I have room for improvement in my branding and how I'm doing that. So it's always a work in progress, and I'm always trying to learn from other agents and what they're doing. And then I'll emulate things, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and I do what feels right for me.
That's a really great point. I do think you have to take a look at your competition, and if there are agents that are really doing things well, professionally, high quality content that's really relevant. Again, you always, nothing is new under the sun, right? But do take a look at what other people are doing. And it is trial and error. A little bit of marketing is a little bit of trial and error, wouldn't you say?
It is. And I'll send out one postcard and I'll get a lot of response. I'll send out another one and nothing.
Won't get anything. Yeah. Right. Do you have any idea what the return on your postcard mailers is? Like if you send out 100, do you get a call? Do you get,
not always. So I think it's something, it's just consistency, as it says. You just keep sending it out, and they're like, oh, there she is again, there she is again. It might take 2 or 3 times before they go, oh, let's call her up. She's doing stuff.
So let's talk about, we're going to talk about the consistency in just a second, but you talk about, distinguishing yourself. How do you distinguish yourself in your market? Are there other agents that are strongly branded and farming your market? And if so, how do you distinguish yourself from them?
I'm just doing, it's funny because when I try to do what other agents are doing, I'm not getting the response that I want. So I actually just talk to people and see what they're, usually BHG agents, and find out what they're doing and do that kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So nothing that different. I think I'm just more consistent with it. And now that I have more momentum, before it was just the flyers. Now it's the flyers and the postcards and the door knocking, the open houses and things in my flyer boxes that may be something a little bit different, like having the wine and cheese event. That's
so you have a wine and cheese event at a listing?
I did, and it was funny because a lady came into my open house yesterday, and she goes, oh, I could tell that you're doing really good in marketing because I picked up your flyer, it looked great, and I turned it over, and you're doing the wine and cheese thing. And she goes, you're doing it all right. You're going to go places.
Nice.
So it was nice to get that kind of feedback. Exactly.
Very much.
A lot of times people don't even tell you what they
think. Right.
Yeah.
Good point. So you mentioned that you do complimentary staging. So that can get costly. Is it something that you, do you have a ceiling? How do you
It's still a work in progress. So a lot of times I'll take their furniture and then we just add to it. So that's probably the main thing in my neighborhood.
So in that case, it's more interior design tips, clearing out the clutter, taking out some of the.
But we also have a lot of things, and then Darren goes crazy because all of a sudden our house is vacant.
Because you put some of that,
and I put all my kids. Where's my this? Where's my that?
That's funny. That's funny. It's over at the listing.
Exactly.
That
so
is
they're kind of used to that. And we have a lot of furniture now. I've been buying, so every time I close something, I'm usually buying another piece of furniture for staging.
Do you ever buy things from the homeowner? Sometimes they're getting ready to get rid of things that are in decent shape and nice.
Exactly. Exactly. So I have quite a selection now.
Okay. So the C word, let's talk about that because I truly believe that there is nothing more important in marketing than consistency. You can have the most beautiful postcard marketing piece and send it out once and get nothing. And you can, and also you need high quality, right? But the most important thing is that you send it out over time, over and over. So, how important has consistency been with you? And when you say consistency, are you saying you send something out for 6 months, 9 months? How long will you give something before you really expect a return and you need to sort of shift gears?
It's just part of what I do now. And I'll see if an agent's come out with a postcard or they put a flyer on somebody's door, I'm usually out like the next day or two also putting something out because I want to, she's still around as well. I've had enough business that I am sending out a lot of just listed, just sold kind of postcards within my farm. probably I would say within every month to every 2 months, we're doing some kind of flyer type thing. I have the notepads because, then they have your face for 50 pages. And
Right.
It's there type thing. So that is, and it is, it's just part of who I am now. I need to also do things because I do have a big database now, so I do need to get those monthly newsletters set up and sent out. And there's always things I can do to improve, for sure.
So what are you sending to your sphere? We've talked about what you're sending out to your farm.
I have not been doing, so I have a whole other untapped market that I need to tap into.
Okay.
For sure.
And you mentioned that you need to get them on some sort of an e-newsletter or something.
Yes.
So that's your plan?
Yes, exactly. They get the quarterly market reports, but I want something more personal and branded to me.
And,
so
and more regular. Well, the market reports are branded to you, but I totally understand. Quarterly is great, but you should be supplementing it with something else as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, e-newsletter, print newsletter, something.
Exactly. And I have someone who's coming to work for me, and she is going to be doing that type of thing for me.
So you are hiring a
kind of a marketing person
admin, marketing
to help with that kind of stuff.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. Do you ever hit a wall where you go, oof, you know what, I don't have a lot in my pipeline now, what do I do?
Yes, absolutely. I had a really slow start to the year, and it's scary because, you come off having a really good year, and you expect that it's going to continue, and it's like, what do I do? And so I started calling my friends, and, hey, do you have anything? Do you know of anyone? Send me some business type things. So I got a listing off of that, and just kind of the momentum builds, excitement builds again.
And then you can start getting that confidence back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that one was in Livermore, and so I brought in a Livermore agent to help with that. So I think in doing that instead of trying to hold on to the whole thing myself, I'm able to diversify myself and not go as crazy. And
that's a really, really good point, because I think the tendency is, I'm going to do whatever it is. I'm going to do that listing in Antioch or Livermore, wherever, and it could be an hour or 2 hours outside your market. And that's going to take you away from your farming activities, your marketing, your sphere, all the kinds of things that are going to really build that business for you. So you typically farm that out, and again, to have some continued involvement in it, but not so that it lays you flat.
Up all my time,
and it's going to take out all your time. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. So I do have. And now I'm panicked about next year, so I'm working it. So I have that stuff in my pipeline, so I don't need to worry as much.
When you say you panic, does that panic keep you motivated?
Yes, I'm a highly motivated person anyway. I'm very competitive. So
I can tell that about you. You definitely like to. You're not going to sit around and wait for something to happen, and
not at all.
That is such an important element to this. The personality in this business, right, is to just get back up and go, okay, now what? What's next?
Right. What worked last year, let's do it again this year. And then since I'm in my third year, I didn't know, is it going to come? Now I know I can always create business. It will always come. I have that confidence
That's
now.
a great,
but when you're first starting
point.
out, you don't know.
Right.
How this all works.
Yeah. And now you know. And so has one of your areas been to develop online business so that you've got that pipeline? I mean, what is your...
I get the Zillow and Trulia leads, so I closed 2 so far this year off of that.
Was that Zillow or Trulia? Which one works better for you?
I find the quality of the lead for me on Zillow is better than Trulia, but I get a lot more Trulia. And so that's one thing I do need to let go of a little bit is I need somebody to start working those leads for me, because a lot of times I won't even return the phone call, and I need to be doing that.
Right.
Paying for that.
Because many times those buyers on Zillow and Trulia are what they call long cycle buyers. And they're not necessarily people that are going to say, you know what, Laura, come over and talk to me about what my home is worth. I might be thinking about selling. This person is someone who says, I may be thinking about buying 6 to 9 months from now.
Right.
But it's still important to keep those folks in your pipeline, because those are the folks that may buy again 6 to 9, and both are important. The immediate business as well as that pipeline of business. Exactly.
Yeah. So that is nice, though, because I know that will continue to come, and I'll continue to get business off of that.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Good. So let's talk about a team of people, you mentioned you've got your lender at your open house, you've got, we talked about, you're hiring a kind of a marketing coordinator, admin person, which sounds like both of those are very, very important in your team. Anybody else that you work with as far as your team?
I would say my stager does a lot of stuff for me as well. So she's pretty valuable.
Okay.
And then family, my husband and son and daughter do a lot of things.
Right.
My flyer
family
guy.
Team.
Yeah, my flyer guy just went to college, so now I need to find another guy to do that.
And he did all your flyers. As soon as you got a listing, he would do your flyers.
Yeah, I would just say, are you free Saturday? Absolutely.
And he would run out and hand them out.
Exactly.
Okay.
He's quick and trustworthy and
right.
good kid. So I'm like, I got to find another person.
Right.
Let's see. So
when you talk about your stager, do you bring your stager in to meet with a homeowner when they've said, Laura, I'm ready to list my home, and it's going to be a sure thing? Do you bring your stager in to kind of tell the homeowner maybe the bad news that you don't want to tell them? In other words, we really need to do some stuff with this house, but you don't want to hurt their feelings. I mean, how do you deal with that?
So, I get the listing, and then I will say, have the stager come in. And every listing is going to be a little bit different, what they're looking for. And so she'll come in, and she'll do a soft touch, and eventually we get them to where they need to be with the house and decluttering and all of that. And she'll go above and beyond as well. She helped another lady get rid of stuff, and she'll go hands-on and pack boxes and stuff. So she's really, really awesome.
So as far as your team, what about a listing where there's really work that needs to get done? Do you have trusted roofers, landscapers, people that you consider also part of your team?
Absolutely. I would say, though, since I'm a newer agent, it's still a work in progress getting those people together as well. And I'll ask other agents who they recommend and do that.
Okay, because that's an important thing. I think
Absolutely.
that a lot of homeowners really come to count on their realtor for that, because they don't want to deal with it. First of all, they want someone that you trust.
Right, exactly.
They trust you as the realtor, and they're like, who can I get in here? Someone that is trusted in my home, is going to do good work, is going to be reasonable, and so they really do tend to look for, to you for that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'm developing that team, and I have my inspectors and stuff like that I like, and so it's all working out.
Okay, good, good. All right, so you talked about giving your listings the luxury treatment. Ooh, this sounds good. What do you do?
Well, it doesn't matter the price point. A lot of times when someone has a little listing or the price point isn't there, they don't do as much, and I feel like that homeowner deserves the $1 million listing treatment. So I will still stage it, still bring the food, and still have the nice big open house with a lot of people supporting me. And
so, let me ask you a question. What is the average price of the listings in your farm, would you say?
In my farm right now, my range I've had 3 at the 500 to 600, and then I have one coming up in the 900. So it's a bit of a mixture.
Okay. But I would imagine the sellers that you represent really like that luxury treatment.
They
right?
do.
Yeah.
They do. So, and I think I do probably above and beyond what other agents are going to do, especially picking up the staging. Most agents don't pick up that cost.
What about professional photography?
I do. I have a great photographer. He does a beautiful virtual tour, and he does a lot of the stuff out in Danville. So I always use him. I tried my first 1 or 2 to take photos, and I thought, this is a waste of my time.
So again, going back to that idea that, Laura, you do a really good job of deciding, where's my best use? My best use is in front of clients, is really strategizing where my business is going, is putting the team together, having great open houses, and letting other people pass out the flyers, and do the kinds of detail work that needs to get done, and certainly the photography, which is not a detail, but a huge deal. And you get people like Debbie DiMaggio, who does multi-million-dollar listings. She was on the show a while back, and she said every single listing of mine, whether it's $300,000 or $3 million, gets professional photography.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds like you have that same philosophy.
Absolutely. And, one thing, though, I think as a new agent, you need to do all the things, pass out the flyers, door knock, take the photo. You get to learn what it is. It's just like with my kids. Whatever class they've taken, be it horseback riding or taekwondo, I've done it, and then I have an appreciation of what they're doing
right,
and how hard it is.
right.
So.
And I remember that your first year and a half in the business, I saw you at every single training. I
Oh, yeah.
remember you were at every single one. You were
Yes.
just a sponge. And I think that that's also a really important thing for new agents into the business is, you know, make the time, make the effort.
Absolutely.
Go out and listen to the radio show and go to all the trainings you
Yes,
can.
yes. And it's always changing. So I need to go back to the trainings.
Right, right. So you are able to use your past listings as a good listing tool. Right?
Absolutely.
For homeowners to say, look, I give every single listing the luxury treatment. Here's what I do.
And that's a new thing that I've just developed probably within the last month or two. You know, I was in a group and I realized that I'm doing what the agents that have $1 million listings are doing on all my listings. So I market that.
So how do you leverage your existing listings? When you sell a home, do you go and door knock the area and say, I just
I'm
sold
more of a postcard.
Joe's house down the street?
Yeah, they
Okay.
kind of, you know, it's not, the farm isn't that big.
Okay.
So they
know.
They know, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, that's not a bad idea, especially now that we're starting to end the busy season, you know,
Right.
for me to go out and door knock next month. And
Well, it's not even so much to let them know the house is sold because, as you said, they already know that. But having you right in front of them across the door
Exactly.
saying, you know,
here.
here's what I did for it, you know, and I certainly am here in case you are ever, you know, interested in talking to me about maybe getting an idea of what your home is worth.
Exactly.
I know that has worked well for other agents because it's like, well, if Joe hired you and you did a good job for him, you sold it above list in record time, I saw what you did as far as the open house, then the idea of them getting across the table from you would be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. All right. So what is your marketing budget?
You know, I
track
don't
that?
have one yet. I need to look at that. It's, as business has picked up and I've had more money, then I'm, you know, doing more postcards and that kind of thing.
Right.
But I do need to look at what my budget is.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Good. Well, there's always more to do, more to grow. You are doing a lot of things right. It's really interesting. I always like to talk to you about the tactics because you've really grown in the business from the last time we had you here about a year ago in terms of, you know, again, what you're going to focus on, what kinds of a team members you're going to get to help you do the other things so that you can really take your business to the next level.
And last time when I was here, I hadn't door knocked. I think Keith wanted me to go door knock. So now I door knock, and it's not a big deal. So,
okay, there we go. Now you got to door knock your solds after you sell.
There you go.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I'm not afraid to door knock anymore.
Right,
So.
good. And what helped you get over that? Success? Getting
Just
listings?
doing it. And I'll go out, you know, Christmas time, I'll put on my Santa hat and bring the dogs and the kids, and we just go out and door knock.
So you recommend that agents door knock?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, good. Great. Well, great information.
Thank
Thanks for coming and sharing. I know how busy you are. And next up, we've got Tina. So before we have Tina up, I do want to put a plug in for the September sweeps. We are planning an amazing month of radio shows. Not that the radio show isn't already great, but we have invited a number of outside speakers to come on the show. We're going to have Brad Anderson from Zillow talk about demystifying the Zestimate and farming using the Zestimate. We're going to have Joe Cristiano, a top business consultant, talking about the Slight Edge, which is a wonderful book if you haven't read it, and how you can use to impact your business. We're going to have Heidi Marcusati, who's the #1 agent in the entire company. She's never been on the show. She's coming on. She is going to reach 1 million in GCI next month, so you will definitely want to hear what Heidi has to say. We're having Darren Hicks, who is a former Navy SEAL, and he has wonderful talk about life lessons, what he's learned, and how he's applying it to his business. So we're going to do giveaways, prizes. Please keep your eyes out. Starting next week, we're going to promote this, and we look forward to having record attendance on the radio show. So now I'd like to invite Tina to onto the show. This is your first time, so welcome.
Well, I did also talk about the Education
You
Foundation
did.
one time.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You did come on. So Tina Van Arsdale is also the president of the Education Foundation. So she's very, very involved in that, and no doubt will come on in the fall again to promote that as we start getting that back online. So Tina, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Tina's been in the business 14 years.
Correct.
And Tina has really, I'm excited about this topic because we really haven't covered this topic on the show before. And that is prospecting by phone. It's no longer called cold calling. Tina tells me that's a bad word. I'm not going to use it, I promise. But that Tina's really had some good success in her business building it through prospecting. So let's just jump in and talk about how Tina manages that and whatnot. And first of all, do you prospect daily, weekly? How often do you prospect, and do you recommend other agents do that?
Okay, yes, it is a daily activity.
Okay.
When I look at my month, typically I'll work 20 days out of the month, and I can only count a day worked as if I prospected. So when I'm looking back, it could be from 15 to 20 days that I work prospecting. And that depends on how many trips I take, business activities, that kind of thing.
All right.
So right now it's year to date, I'm probably like at 17 days a month I prospect.
Well, so when you say you prospect, so is that like, I don't know, do you set a goal of 5 calls a day, 10 calls a day? I mean, how do you, what kind of goal setting do you do?
Okay, so goal setting, that's a great question.
And maybe we're jumping ahead, but.
Oh, that's okay, yeah, sure. So if I want to close 25 deals a year, the numbers work out where I need to talk to 25 people a day.
Okay,
So, and now I've bumped it up. I'm actually talking about 35 people a day.
35 people a day. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about scheduling. So it sounds like you have a very, very specific approach. You have set your business plan at the beginning of the year, and you said, I want 25 transactions, and my average sale price is X. And in order to, make whatever income that you want, that you've set, you're very, very focused on what that plan is. So you schedule it. How do you schedule it during your day, and how do you manage it, based on showings and listings and all of that? Is it first thing in the day, and how do you do that?
Yeah, so my schedule is the same every day. So the first part of the morning is all about mindset. I start prospecting. I block out time from like 9 to noon every day. And that includes prospecting and lead follow-up to try to set appointments during that time. And then right after that, after lunch, is more like I preview property. I do a little admin work, check emails, phone calls, that kind of thing, work on the transactions. And then after that, it's previewing properties to know the marketplace well, setting appointments. The appointments I like to take are probably like at 1:30 or 3:30. So I already know my schedule every day. Hey, when I go to set an appointment, I ask, what time's better for you, 1:30 or 3:30? That seems to work. And then if I don't have any appointments later that day, I can prospect again. Negotiating contracts. And I focus more on working with sellers than buyers.
Okay, so what is the best time to call? Do you find that people are home in the morning and they don't want to be bothered in the evening? And you've obviously got a lot of experience around this, so what would you recommend other agents do in terms of best time?
Right. Well, I prospect first thing in the morning. The people that I talk to that are home, I like to work during the day and not so much the evening. So when I call during the day, people are home during the day, so those are people I can work with, which is great.
Right.
I do follow the Mike Ferry system, and he says that's the first thing, because you as a person are more alert and alive and ready to go. You don't want to seem like somebody that calls in the evening like other people do, like the cold callers,
That is aggravating.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and then in the afternoon, though, I do notice a lot of people are home from 4 to 5. I can make a lot of contact, even from 4:30 to 5. Gosh, I can, talk to 15 people.
Okay, so first thing in the morning, and then like late in the afternoon, before dinner, before they get into their family
That's what I think. But, whatever's important to the realtor, whenever is good for them and they'll do it consistently, would be best for them.
Right. Okay, so there's that C word again. And Tina is amazingly disciplined. She does this day in, day out. And this is what, with any business, any discipline really bears fruit, is not when you do it once. The same thing of, postcard marketing or door knocking or whatever it is. It's got to be that consistency around that. So it sounds like do you ever have a day when you wake up and you go, oh, I'm just not feeling like cold calling today? I'm sorry, prospecting.
You're using the C word.
I know, prospecting.
Sure. I mean, there are times like that. But there are systems I have in place that help me not to have, even when you feel like that, because we all do feel like
Right.
that. It's just doing the things you need to do even on the days you don't feel like
Right,
doing it.
right. And that's the key to success in this
That is,
business.
yeah. So I have systems in place for that.
Right. Okay. All right. Good. So what about, so we already talked about the discipline. You were very disciplined. Do you have any tips, tricks, anything about
Sure.
affirmations or
Sure, yeah.
What do you do?
So I am, it seems silly, here we have a job, right? We're realtors, but as a realtor, not everybody thinks of it like it's a full-time job.
I know.
So me, I need it to be a full-time job. I need to earn a certain amount of money. So the disciplines I have in place are, since I'm in a coaching program, I'm in 2 coaching programs. First thing in the morning, I get up, I do my daily gratitudes and intentions, get that really good feeling about being happy, about what you're grateful for, and then you turn it into what you want to achieve in your life. So when you have that good feeling, when you're thinking about what you want in the future, it helps to create that. And then I have a mastermind group. We talk Monday through Friday. It's a 30-minute call, and we make 10 promises a month based on real estate and or your personal goals.
Okay.
So we have to achieve those.
Okay.
So every day we talk for 30 minutes. We make sure we're on track to achieve our goals, our business goals, all those 10 promises. We might talk about. Go ahead.
So
Looks like you have a question.
Well, I want to get back into the gratitude a minute because you touched on something that I think is really interesting, and I think starting the day out with an attitude of gratitude and getting in that positive space is something that really is interesting. Can you expand on that?
Well, sure. So expanding on it.
What are the affirmations?
Okay.
Is that part of your training program with Mike Ferry?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. So he calls it 10-10s is what Matthew's actually my coach, his son, and I'm in his NLP program. So he talks about, what are you grateful for, and to really think about it, write it down, and at least 10 things. I mean, it could be anything, especially if you're feeling down. You're like, gosh, I'm not grateful for anything. Are you kidding? You're like, great, I'm grateful for the sunshine. I'm grateful for my pets, my children, gosh, great, whatever it is, everybody has their own. And then you start getting like this excited feeling, and then when you keep doing it so often, and then now you're thinking, of course, you have your goals, right? You have your vision for the year, you have your monthly goals. You look at those, and you pick some and you write those out. And then you start to get excited. It's like, man, isn't this going to be great when I get this done? Because it's fulfilling. You're moving towards something you actually want to achieve. It's a life of choice rather than by chance. So you're creating your own future. And it's exciting. And what's interesting, the more you practice that, it's like just sometimes now in the middle of the day I'll get, this rush of excitement because it's like just this good feeling.
I love what you just said, a life of choice rather than chance.
Right.
And so that goes back to what we kind of touched on today around a life of intention, being very, very intentional about your business, going about it every single day, treating it like a job, going to work. And one of the things that is really attractive about this business is the flexibility, and one of the challenges about this business is the flexibility. Because you can leave at 4 and go to your daughter's soccer game, but you also, need to make sure that you're staying true to yourself and your goals and filling your pipeline and doing all the things that you're talking about.
Right.
Okay, so 10 things you're grateful for before starting your day. Love that. And then setting out it sounds like you have a schedule every day, basically.
Right, it's the same schedule.
It's the same schedule.
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, same schedule. So you start your morning and you do your calls, and then after you do your either 25 or 35 calls, and then you set your appointments and you have your appointments, and maybe sometimes calling again in the afternoon.
Right.
Okay. And anything else?
Well, so the disciplines I have to make sure I get that. I just want to make sure I get this point across. So when I talk to my accountability group, they help us, each of us, to keep on track for our goals.
Okay.
Okay, and then at 8:30, and then I do my role play at 7:30. At 8:30, I talk to my affirmation partner. So what basically the affirmations we say out loud to each other is what we want in our life that we might not have. Hey, I'm a great listing agent. I sell million. I'm upping my price range. Whatever you want in your life that you're not having, affirmations help me. So we both do the affirmations together, and then briefly we say, what are we going to accomplish today? And then after we're done prospecting, both of us, we text each other. So it's accountability too. We commit.
So important. Yeah.
And then we're held accountable. We let each other know, okay, yeah, I talked to 35 people. I got one appointment. You know, they're like, oh, awesome, great, you know.
And that accountability is huge because
It is huge.
most of us don't want to be embarrassed. Ooh, I didn't make my goals. Ooh, I
Right.
slept late. I only called 5 people, right? That's not something that you want to be telling your accountability partner.
Yeah, when you come
You've
from
committed to
integrity.
it. You come from integrity, and you created this set of goals for yourself.
Right.
No one else has told you you have to do this.
That's right. We pick our own. Yeah.
Pick our own.
Yeah. And we like to read the integrity statement every day with our NLP group. So once you read the integrity statement, all of a sudden, you know, it gets in your subconscious mind, what you feed your mind, right?
Right.
So then you start moving towards those things even subconsciously.
Right. Right. And it sounds like you've had some Kathy Allerton training as well.
Kathy Aldrin for sure. And I'm actually in her training right now. And Laura's actually my phone partner this month.
Is that I Produce?
It is.
Okay.
This one's called I Inspire.
Oh, I
We
Inspire.
finished I Produce.
Okay.
And a small group of us, or like 15 of us.
So you and Laura are phone partners. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so every day we have to talk, and we can't miss a day, and then we talk about whatever's important to us at that time during the day. We, in Kathy's group, we do a production goal. So whatever those are, we have to just make sure we're on track for achieving that. Because when we go back to class, you know, that's the first one of the first questions.
Yes.
Right. What did you do?
Let's take down our numbers.
Right. Okay. Report.
Report.
Okay, good. So how important is role playing
Well, it's
in
very
what you're
important.
doing?
Yeah, because, you know, it's important to know what to say. Otherwise, you know, realtors might not want to call people or talk to people because they don't know what to say.
Right.
So if you just practice what to say.
I hear that a lot. I'm afraid
Right.
to door knock. What do I say?
Right.
I'm afraid to call. What do I say?
Right, yeah. Those are great questions. So what's cool about Mike Ferry is you can go to his website and you got all the scripts. They're very simple scripts. You know, talking for sale by owners, expireds, for sale. You're calling around, you're just listed, there's just sold. You know, I love doing those. Those are so easy.
Those are
Who
easy.
doesn't want to know
Right.
about what's selling in their neighborhood?
Right.
So it's really good to practice, and you start to feel more comfortable. You internalize it. It makes it easier. It's fun. You know, when the more in depth you get with people and can mirror and match and get connected with them, it's actually fun.
Okay. What kind of results do you get? I mean, let's talk about your prospecting calling. Out of 35 calls a day, or I don't know if you want to do it per week, what does that look like in terms of results?
Right. Okay, so I do have a tracking system. Mike Ferry has that.
Okay.
So what's really cool is just call an analyzer. So you plug in every day how many people you talk to. So I know, as far as up to this year, how many people I have to talk to, and it varies. It looks like for me to go on a listing appointment, I talk to 240 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, where are these people coming from? You said some of your past clients, some of your sphere, people that know you, love you, trust you, all that.
Right.
Where else are these calls coming from? Because that's a lot of numbers. I mean, how many people are in your calling database?
So I have a database of about 400 people.
Okay.
So that's an important group to call. I touch those people 3 times a year calling.
Okay.
I also send them probably 3 postcards a year just from Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate a year.
Okay.
So I call them first. You know, they know you, they like you. Those are easy too, right?
Right. Those are the ones you can start with.
Yeah. You know, and I know we don't have as many expires or for sale by owners as we used to, but those are great calls too. The old expireds are really good right now too. You know, that couldn't sell in 07, 08, 09, 10.
Right.
Those are people to talk to for sale by owners. And then I call around the just listed, just solds. When I have a sale or a listing, just call the neighborhood. I do use a system called Mojo, and I can find numbers around a certain address. And you can scrub it if you want through the do not call, and just dial. It automatically dials for you. It dials 3 numbers at one time. And then whoever answers, you know, you can see who answered, and you can just start talking.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mojo, like mojo.com?
Mojosells.com.
Mojosells.com.
Right.
Okay, great. All right, good. So you've used that to good success, and that will give you the numbers around a certain specific address.
Right.
Right. Okay. And do you have a farm that you focus on?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's more sphere. Okay. All right, good. So you talked a little bit about mindset.
Mindset.
And that sounds like that's a really important part of your success, your focus. talk a little bit about that. I think you started
Sure.
to talk about it, about the 10.
Yeah, so that's the beginning of the mindset. In the
Okay.
morning, exercise is also good mindset. You know, it's got the good feeling. You help
You get
not
those
to create
endorphins going.
stress.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I don't watch the news. Anything negative I stay away from, and it's really helpful. I can feel, like, you can feel the negative energy at times, you know.
Right.
So I don't watch the news. I don't, and even negative people I stay away from. You know, you can just tell immediately, right? Well, oh, not that I judge firsthand when I see somebody, of course, but, you know, I stay away from negative people. So then I just feed my mind with good things, right? You get up good. I, you know, read the books. I have audios in my car. So I'm always putting something good in my mind. And I start reading my vision. You know, that was really good. I read my vision this morning, you know. For the year, create like a prophecy letter of what you want to create, and then it's broken down into like quarterly letters for myself. So it's almost like a quarterly letter.
So let's break that down a little bit.
Okay.
So you said your vision. So when you say your vision, what is your vision?
So my vision is it's more like a prophecy letter. What do I want to accomplish in the year?
Okay.
So it's like it's already done.
So it's a letter to yourself.
To myself in all the areas of my life. So that makes you real excited, right?
Well, that's interesting. So talk about that for a minute, because it's not just about business, and that's what so many trainers talk about. Is it's a holistic approach to your life, right? So it's what do you want your financial goals to be? What do you want your relationship goals to be? What do you want your family goals, your goals of your house and business? So it's all encompassing in your letter.
It is, yeah, and it's more of a fun way of going about it. It's more in paragraph form. It only takes about maybe a full page, maybe a page and a half. And then from that letter, it's easy to create like bullet points of the goals, right? And that's, you know, so then you have your goals there. And then it's easy to create your monthly goals. You know, hey, this is my vision. This is what I want. Am I working on it? Gosh, I haven't, you know, oh, I want to go to Costa Rica. Have I planned that yet? You know, I mean, fun stuff too, because it's more fulfilling. It makes it more exciting to want to work. If you have fun
know what you're working for,
that you want to achieve too.
Right, exactly. And that fun thing may be a trip, like you said. It may be, you know, saving money for your grandchildren's college education, whatever it is.
Being debt free, retiring.
Right, being debt free, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's important we typically think about our visions in large brushstrokes.
Yeah.
But the way to make them really happen is to break them down into bite-sized pieces.
Right, and have
and
them
that's
in
what you
writing.
do with your vision.
Yeah,
you put it
and
in
look at
writing.
them. Yeah.
And how often do you look at that vision?
So, well, because I make my quarterly letter, I'm thinking, let me think. I do it often because now with Kathy's group and even the Mike Ferry, I have 10 promises I make every month. So sometimes I have to look at that every day. You know, am I on track? You know, and, you know, you have to, you know, have I done my lead follow-up 15 times this month? I have to create a little check sheet, right?
Right.
So I look at that kind of stuff every day.
Yeah.
And same with my monthly goals. So it's almost like every day I actually have that on my refrigerator.
Right. You have
And I have it by my bed right when I first thing wake up. So I see what I'm focusing on that I want.
So you're very process-oriented, it sounds like.
And
You're
I
not-
haven't always been that way.
No? You changed? This is something that you've been able to build into this business?
Right.
Yeah. Good. And it's working for you.
It does help.
It does help.
It does
so
work.
what can you tell us about your results in terms of business that the cold calling, the prospecting calling has gotten you? Woof! I got another demerit.
Yeah. Well, so my goal this year was 18 transactions. I'm kind of building myself back up from a little spiral down in 08 and 09. So
Well,
I'm coming back.
most of the audience had that. So,
Right, yeah. So I'm excited about that. What's cool about the tracker is that I can see I'm on track to close 19 deals and a certain amount of income. And I'm sorry,
excellent.
so what was the question?
No, that's excellent. I just asked you what your goals are, basically what your success is. Because we've heard all about the process, what you do, how disciplined you are, the program that you set out. But what it sounds like is you're also meeting your goals. I mean,
so that is, I mean, I can see my success pretty easy. It's just like one piece of paper. What's also cool is it can tell when you look at the tracking what you need help with. Oh, gosh, I've been on, you know, my goal is 72% to when I go on a listing, I want to get, you know, the listing 72% of the time. Right now I'm like at 61, but that's because I've had a couple that I haven't signed yet that I recently went on appointments with. And I can go up to 80%, and this is pretty low for me at the moment, 60%. So then I think to myself, hey, I really need to focus on doing something better at the listing. Hey, you know what, I'm contacting 24 people a day. That's great. Keep that up. Okay, I need to really need to talk to less people to get more appointments. So what do I need to do that?
Right, right.
But when I looked at, I didn't bring that part with me. When how many deals am I getting from each type of call for sale by owners?
Right. It would be nice to know what the breakdown.
Yeah.
So
and
you
I
do track
have that.
Okay.
I do track that.
Okay. Are you more successful at getting buyers or getting listings?
I focus on listings.
Okay.
Right now, as of today, let's see, I'm probably 60-40 though right now. I'd rather be 80-20. That's what I focus on, but somehow I've gotten a few more buyers this year, like more 40%.
Okay. And are those first-time buyers? Just trying to get into the market?
No, some of them they
move up.
sold their move up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I looked at where I got my deals from so far this year, whatever I worked on, I got, right? I was calling just listers. I got those. Did an open house, found a seller, sold the seller something, then they had to buy something. So if you're whatever you're doing consistently, you're going to get business from it.
That's a great point. Whatever you're doing consistently is whatever you're paying attention to and focusing on is going to pay off. So if you're not doing any prospecting, that's going to show up in 3 to 6 months. If you're doing a lot of prospecting, that's going to show up.
Right.
Okay, so I think we've already touched a little bit on what kinds of coaching. So you do Mike Ferry program.
I do.
Sounds like you do Kathy Allerton's program.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Okay, all right. Have there been other programs that you've done that have worked?
Yeah, well, I started with Tony Robbins. So I went through his whole life mastery system. And I've been coached through his company as well. So,
okay, good. So you started out with life coaching and then really focused down into real estate coaching.
Right, yeah. And I think of Kathy also as a life coach also.
Kathy is a life coach. Yeah. Yeah. She's a wonderful coach. And I know that she's coached you for many years.
Yeah.
Well, this is a really refreshing look at a disciplined way to do the business day in, day out that can really reap rewards. So great work.
Thank you.
And keep up the great job, and thank you for sharing all your information, your approach with us.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tina.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We'll see you next week.